Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of what we're going to be calling the Ranking the Retro Roundtable, where we're going to be looking at old games and ranking them against their peers. I got this idea from another podcast that I listened to from a website called Hardcore Gaming 101. Fantastic site if you haven't checked it out. But they do it where they rank pretty much everything. Doesn't matter what console it's on, whether it's arcade or anything like that. I thought that'd be a cool idea if I just, take that idea and run with it, but just focus on one console and rate every one of those games on that console. So what we're going to be doing is rating all the Nintendo Entertainment System games against each other. In bit-sized pieces. We're not going to be reviewing every single game in one episode because that would take forever. And even I haven't played every single game on the system. But we're going to do it in bite-sized chunks because bite-size makes you not get so heavy. What, you like that, don't you? So, joining us today, unfortunately, one of our friends couldn't make it. That's fine. We'll get him next time. But joining us today is Jerry over there, a.k.a. Jers. Say hello.
Yeah, I was getting ready to. Hello, everybody.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, right.
And we also have Jason, a.k.a. Fatal Pulse.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up? What's up?
Fatal Pulse 3 in the house. Sorry.
We're going to start this conversation off by asking a simple question. What kind of memories do you have when you first got your NES? Like, when did you first get one? We'll start with you, Jerry, since you actually kind of brought it up before we started recording.
Sure. Well, let's see. So the biggest thing that I can say about that is I had to learn how to tie my shoes to get an NES. So my parents were very intelligent. They attached a nice incentive to get something for me and then give me that. So yeah, it was well worth it, by the way. Luckily, I'm a fast learner. But yeah.
And you probably forgot how to tie your shoes since then, haven't you?
That's right. Slip-ons all day.
What about you, Jason? What kind of memories do you have of getting it?
Honestly, I didn't have to learn to tie my shoe or do good in school or play well at baseball, which I did as a kid. It was just a Christmas gift from my dad who, he had his Atari and continued the video game, likes and loves that he had with us. And my brother and I got one. And, at that point forward was just everything we were doing at that time. Obviously, it came with Mario and Duck Hunt, so spent a lot of time with that.
That damn dog.
I remember long times of just playing Mario, not turning it off, because we learned real fast that you have to start over. So we tried to leave it on.
Yeah, we didn't really have save games all that much back there. But wait, which version of the NES did you get, Jerry?
I had the classic. I had the front are we going to call that the front loader?
I mean, we can call it that or the the toaster. I mean,
yeah, I currently have a top loader now, but no.
I meant like which.
Oh, nice.
Like which game did it come with? Was it like the one with Mario in it? Or?
Yeah. There was Mario Duck Hunt combo.
Yeah. That's how mine was. It was the toaster. I did end up having a friend who got the top loader at one point, which blew my mind for unknown reasons. But
the controllers are better on the top loader.
The controllers are better. Yes,
this is true. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm the odd one out because I didn't get the one with Mario and Duck Hunt on it. Sadly, I remember I was with my parents who went to a friend's house, and we were playing at first Mario 3, and then we were playing Mario 1. Where my dad walks in the room and he says, "What would you rather have for Christmas or birthday?" I think it was my birthday. A bike or Nintendo? And of course, I, as a nerd, said Nintendo. And so a couple months later, I got the one, but it wasn't the Mario and Duck Hunt one. It was I think it was called like the sports set, the one with World Cup soccer and Super Spike volleyball. Came with the 4-player adapter and 4 controllers,
which are fantastic games, by the way.
Yeah.
Those games are really good,
I've
though.
not
They
seen
are.
that.
Yeah, I still have the box to this day. So got it from Laneco. I think my mom paid like $120 for it. So yeah, that it's a throwback, but yeah, so a couple months back when I got that exact game from Video Games Monthly, I almost cried. Like that brought back some memories. So that's my first real experience with the Nintendo.
For those,
That's the one. That's
it's
the one.
non-video podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
The specific one that Wayne was talking about, it's got the little IR adapter on the front, and this has this 4 controller adapter.
I'm not gonna lie,
Like-
I completely forgot it was IR.
Wow, yeah. So it was line of sight, and that had its challenges clearly.
Yeah.
But it was
so
way
much
ahead of
fun.
its time.
So much fun. So with all that said, yeah, we have 3 games on the table for today. What we're going to do, it's give you an idea of the general format, is we're going to introduce the game, talk about what exactly the game's all about, talk about our experiences playing it, if we have any kind of memories, any kind of complaints, things that were really blown away by it, and then we're going to rank it. So for the first game, obviously, we can't really rate it against its peers because it's the first game, but eventually we will have a massive document or spreadsheet of all the games and where we think they kind of match up with each other. So look forward to that in a future episode because hopefully this is a long thing that we do. And if we ever do finish the NES before we die, we will just move on to another console. Simple as that. So yeah, first up on the table, we drew 3 games. The first one is Wild Gunman. It was released on February 18th of 1984. I was 19 days old. It was actually all 3.
February what?
February 18th of 84.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's old. This game is literally
December
almost
20th,
41
83
years
over here.
old.
Holy. Jeez.
So yeah. So this is one of the few games on the system. What blew my mind is for the date that it was released, it used the light gun, which was something that was kind of unseen at the time. Like you didn't really get a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was
But
early.
this game pretty much relied on using the NES Zapper, which, let's face it, that thing's cool. It may not be the most accurate thing in the world, but, you always pointed at things and started pulling the trigger, hear that clicking sound. It had that very distinct click. I miss that click. I don't even know where my Zapper is anymore. I'm not going to lie. I think I had a bag of like 3 or 4 of them, and none of them worked. Anywho, so what was interesting about this game is that it had 3 modes of play. Mode A, Mode B, and Mode C. Mode A was a one-on-one quick draw event where you just kind of tried to beat the other guy to shooting. It's a showdown. Mode B was a 2-on-1 where you had to shoot 2 guys before they shot you. And Mode C was, I think, the best one where it was almost like you were given like a backdrop and then you have targets popping up and it's literally a shooting gallery, which was a lot more fun to me. But what did you guys think about this one? Because I don't know. I kind of thought it got kind of boring after a while.
It's interesting because, compared with all the other 2 and a couple of the other ones that I've, played recently, it's using the Zapper, which is, again, as early as it was released, is unique. But there's something about just quick drawing the Zapper to shoot an outlaw. It's like Wild Wild West. I mean, as a kid, how fun would that be, right? And how fun was it just doing it with your friends? I agree with you though. The game C, mode C is Gang, which is the shooting gallery, and I think it's interesting because it does give you their response times or their raw times. I don't know if you noticed that at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you had to make the choices. Who do you go after first based on that number? And even then, depending on who you got, it was tough.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed too is that the second guy doesn't always shoot either. Sometimes
Right.
all you have to do is shoot the one guy and then the other guy just walks away. It's like, wait, what? You watch me shoot your pal and you're just gonna run away? You're not gonna avenge him?
That didn't happen to me too often, but yes.
But I will say in the one-on-one quick draw, I got to around round 52, and that I just called it. I'm sure I could have gone farther. I just didn't want to. I was bored of mode A.
Yeah.
Like I found it so easy. I feel if I was using a real zapper and I would have actually like sat there and had the zapper down near my hip and quick draw it might have been more fun. But nowadays, I feel like it doesn't necessarily hold up all that well. Like it's still fun to see what it was all about, but I don't know. Mode C was definitely the best way to play the game, though. Although I
Sure.
could not get very far.
Yeah. Jerry, where what level were you able to get to?
Oh, I
It's
don't
okay.
know.
I made it to like 5.
Yeah, I think I made it to like level 3.
Wait, are we talking about mode C or mode A? Because I made it to like
Mode
round
A.
50.
No, mode A.
Yeah.
I didn't.
got you.
Yeah, mode A. I did not get very far. I would
I'm not
say
sure if that's just not having the zapper part and having to use mouse or what.
yeah, and I would just say too, like I'm gonna just echo the sentiment here. Out of the 3 modes, mode C was the best, and I got Mad Dog McCree vibes from that, like
Yeah.
with the windows and the outlaws like popping up in the windows, and
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. I never even thought of that.
yeah, and I just have one question. So like, I'm pretty sure I noticed this a time or two, and maybe I didn't. But what the hell was with this era of games and people's pants falling down? Get hit or shot.
I mean, it was the era of pantsing people, right?
Well,
That was the funny thing to do in high school,
Yeah.
I guess.
because
Middle
again, I'm
school.
going to draw like other comparisons here.
I think it still exists too. I think pantsing is still a thing.
Like, it reminded me of what do you think happens in Punch Out when you play against King Hippo? His pants fall down, and like I shot the one outlaw or whatever, and the look on the dude's face reminded me of Glass Joe. Like between this game basically gave me like Mad Dog McCree and Punch Out vibes because the dude's pants were.
That now. Just
yeah, I
maybe
I think it was the
just
level
a
of what
shot.
what they could
Maybe-
push in the game, I guess. How
Maybe
far.
you're just a poor shot and you just kept hitting the belt buckles. That's all it is.
Maybe.
Does it matter in this game where I couldn't tell?
So I had some hit detection issues myself. Like, I
Me
know there
too,
was
I
a
would
couple
get
times
misses.
where
Yeah, clearly
Like,
there
I
wasn't a
don't-
miss, at least a time or two for me. And I mean, I'm a bad shot, but I know that I absolutely should have registered.
The manual
like-
doesn't say anything particular about location. So I highly doubt it had it within that era. So
yeah, like I tried aiming for the head, I tried aiming for the body, and every once in a while it's just like, nope, you're just not going to connect with your shot. Which
it's
I know
like
back in the
using
day,
a
the
real
zapper-
zapper,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's exactly what I was
it
gonna
would
say.
be off. It'd be off.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I know the zapper wasn't the most accurate thing in the world, but I don't know. Like nowadays, using modern technology, it's like, come on, I definitely hit that guy.
I attempted with all these games to look through the lens of not even like, does it stand up today?
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to take the lens of if I was in the time or when I
Yeah.
was in the time, like how does that stack up? Because
If I was 19 days old again and playing it,
yeah, well, that's a little early. I mean, if you have a zapper in your hand, you're really getting busted there, right? But with all the games that we had or played or got exposed to then, there were definitely many that were enjoyable and many that weren't, and there's one of those in this list today. So that's kind of the lens I was taking when I saw first
and
saw
I feel
this
like that's
game.
the perfect way of looking at it too. It's because we're ranking against other NES games. It's not like we're ranking
Right.
say Wild Gunman against like I don't know, like Doom Eternal or something.
Yeah,
you know?
and remember, even though we don't have a list, we don't have a list of what we've ranked now. There's obviously games Jerry's played, Wayne's played, I played that we remember. We can compare this stuff to because we've all been exposed to probably quite a few different games and each other.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the best part about this one because the way we're also going to be doing this, I forgot to mention this at the start, is the first couple of episodes, we are just doing the old school black box games. Figure we'll do the 30 black box games and then all the other games after that. That way we have a nice basis to see, what can the later releases really match up to the earlier ones. Spoiler alert, a lot of them do.
Yeah. And I even just wanted to say too, like going back to just kind of the point of like looking at it through the lens of not, how did it feel or whatever. And that's the thing. I never played this game until we did this. It's like I didn't even know this game existed. But what I noticed right away is, and obviously like
Same.
It's not, and I don't remember the timeline on this, but there's like sound effects that are in Duck Hunt that are in this.
Yeah.
Right. So like, but that's like in this instance, it was like, and I get it, like throughout a lot of the NES, its lifespan, recycling sounds were, they were commonplace to do that. And that can be that can be problematic, but I thought it worked well here because I'm pretty sure that they took this from and put it in Duck Hunt. If I have my timetable right, which I may not, but I didn't find a problem with it. But I was like, I picked up on a couple of those things too. And I'm just like, I personally had no problem. I was not approaching any of this looking through the lens of like, does it hold up? Because this was a time that, we all experienced this. It was easy for me to like just think about or go back to that time and be like, what did I feel like when I was playing this console? So
yeah, and back then reusing of sounds I don't think had as such a social impact that it would today because
Right.
we didn't know what to expect back then. This was all fresh and new. We didn't have 30, 40 years of development going on where the expectations have completely shifted, whereas then we're just like, what is how? This is insane. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, a lot of the same developers probably worked on all these games, and that's why I'm sure there's a lot of the same sounds. And by the way, as I said, this game was released on 2/18/84. Duck Hunt was April 21st of 84. So it was only 2 months apart.
Okay. Yeah.
So chances are they were probably being developed at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the game modes, since we talked about A and B and how I got a lot further apparently than you guys did in mode A. How far did you guys get in mode C? Because that one I couldn't really get that far. I think I got to level 2 and couldn't get past it.
I got the level 2.
The hit detection, I for whatever reason I'd get one and I couldn't get the second one. I don't know, I was having trouble getting the second shot off and succeeded. Now, I did make it to level 3 today, but it was not successful in majority of my time playing it.
And the thing I noticed too is it's not random. It's all set in stone. It's not a random
right, that's how I was
grouping.
able to get further.
That's what makes it more infuriating when you can't get further because the hit detection being kind of off.
Yeah.
And for the records, on mode A and B, did anybody else notice that the characters kind of move like they belong in South Park?
I mean,
no
whole thing, I guess.
No, but I guess I gotta go back and look now.
It's just the way that they like kind of like walk towards the center of the screen. I get like South Park vibes.
Pretty similar waddle.
Waddle.
So expect like Cartman to come out of there and like be the one to pull the pants down or something.
Expect my authority.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to say about the game? Otherwise, I think we can move on because again, we can't really rate it because this is the first game we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, so, I enjoyed it for what it is. Not having the zapper though, it took away from.
I want to now that I've seen it, I want to play with a zapper because I want to get that holster in there and go ka-cha ka-cha. I want to try and be that gunslinger, but I also want to see how far I could get with the zapper.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, use the light bulb trick. All right. I think we can move on unless anybody else has any last thoughts about Wild Gunman. Personally, I didn't think it was that great, but again, I never really played it as a kid either. I didn't find as much enjoyment out of this, but I can definitely appreciate like the start of the genre.
Yeah, It wasn't
English.
horrible.
I will
wasn't
add
horrible,
one
but-
thing. I think the reason out of the 3 today that I liked this one a lot because Duck Hunt was, for me, was something I got with my system. I didn't get a game for a while, so I had Duck Hunt and Mario, and I spent a lot of time just trying to get them dang ducks, right? And
Out
so
of all the Zapper games I've played, I think Duck Hunt is probably the best.
yeah,
So
so
I
for
cannot
me
wait
it
till we get to
kind
talk
of
about that one.
it resonated a bit with just my first introduction to the Zapper, which again was be ahead of its time for us. So I
Yeah.
think that's why this one sort of maybe holds a unique spot over a lot of other ones, but yeah.
No, that makes sense. Jerry, any last thoughts?
I mean, I would say it was enjoyable, but I mean, I won't revisit it. I'll just, like I said,
That's a good way of putting it.
but it's a lack
That's
of,
a really good way of putting it.
yeah, but I'm saying that from a place of that it's just because we lack the peripherals that really would probably give us more enjoyment out of playing it. So
I
I
might use it as an aim trainer.
yeah, like I don't want
There you go.
to say that like what I'm saying is coming from a place of like, oh, the game is just terrible. I'm not saying that. It's just that we don't have the true experience. But I just won't revisit it again. Sorry.
That's a
Wild Gunman.
really good way of putting it. I like that. All right, so moving on, we're going to move on to Wrecking Crew, the second of the 3 games that we played. This one was actually released. This
I
one
got a
was
few
released
things to
much
say.
later. This one was released on June 18th of 1985. So this was a little over a year later. Does anybody want to start on this one to explain what the game's all about?
Yeah, I mean, I can try to give the listeners an idea about it. Yeah, again, it's called Wrecking Crew. You're a Mario with a hammer.
Which blew my mind when I first played
Right,
it.
yeah. There is a controller 2 does come up as Luigi. And interestingly enough, there's a foreman. His name is Spike. There's a couple enemies called the Gotcha Wrench, Junior Gotcha Wrench, and Eggplant Man. But basically, you're just climbing ladders, and I don't know if you're knocking down lockers. They're called. Yeah, I don't know what
Okay,
they're
so I'm
called.
not the
But
only one who thought that they looked like lockers.
they're called
No, I did
walls
too.
for demolition, is what they're called. But you're taking out walls. Some take 1 hit, 2 hits, 2 cracks, and the third one falls out. There's doors, which I didn't learn how they used them till today. And there's destructible ladders as well, so you use things like that to your
Those
advantage
were
to
the
keep.
bane of my existence.
Yeah, so you can use these destructible ladder walls to keep the monsters from getting you, but again, then you can't use them. It is side scroll, but you can go like from one side and you'll come back out the other side. That's a strategy you get to use in this game. And once you've demolished everything, you've won the round. So there's a couple tools built into the game. Dynamite's one of them, which lets you knock down both walls on either side, but then you also fall. And then you have a pillar, which can also take down a wall, whatever it's supporting at the time. Yeah, so again, you're basically taking out walls, and once they're all taken out, job's done. Move on to the next, what they call phase of work. So to go with the Wrecking Crew title.
Yeah, so basically the game it sounds like it might be an action game, but it's more of a puzzle game. Because there are plenty of ways, which I found very quickly, to get yourself into an unwinnable scenario.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't tell you how angry I got playing this game.
You and me
Um,
both.
There's 100 total phases as well. That's a lot of levels to sit down and play that you have to memorize. Because I only got to level 7. I suck at this game.
Oh, I'm lucky I got to level 3.
I
Okay.
feel like I
Just
tried, but like I felt like I was getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden I realized that I missed something at the very top corner that I didn't see, and I already broke the ladder, so I couldn't climb back up there.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
it
and
was
I decided to go look at some phases, past 50.
Mhm.
That's when I was like, I don't want to get that far. I don't have the patience to get that far.
Yeah, I think I got to level 7. And I learned accidentally because the one time I put myself in an unwinnable situation, there were no enemies near me either. So it's not like I could just have one touch me to restart the level. So I'm like pressing keys on the controller to see, if there was anything that reset the level. And then I found out select restarts the whole game.
Ooh, you found that out by mistake, didn't you?
Yes, games that let you get stuck, and then
So I didn't stop there. I played again, but I had that like nagging at me in the back of my head the entire time. So once I got to a certain part of the game, like I hate this game. I can't say I hate. Okay, yeah, I can't say I hate the game. I didn't really find a lot of enjoyment in it.
I feel like Gary has an interesting sentiment about this game. I get this impression that he likes it.
Well, so this game brought out something in me, which was I didn't know that I'm playing it, and all of a sudden I hear out of my mouth like "Get down!" Like I sounded like Arnold, and I don't know why. Because there was a time or two where no, there was a time or two where I had an enemy coming at me, and I was trying to get down to like drop down to another level, and I was kind of stressed about it because I just wanted to not get hit. And that came out of my mouth at least 2 or 3 times. My cousin has a tendency to go around and impersonate Arnold, and apparently that stuck in my head somewhere and came out when I was playing this game, and I don't know why. But yeah, I like this game.
Let's not even talk about the damn fireballs either, because that just really got under my skin.
Oh, I'm looking at my notes, by the way. Just if I can interrupt real quick. Hitting select, it restarts the game, but it actually keeps you at the same level. I should mention that.
Well, that's an interesting point because you can select the phases no matter what in this game. Like you're not required to get to the phase to pick the phase.
Yeah.
So you can always, in essence, pick up where you left off as long as you remembered.
Anyway, sorry, Jerry. You were talking about how you like this game.
Oh, somehow. I mean, well, I don't know because you guys are like, oh, I didn't even barely get to. I got to 11 phases.
Whoa.
Okay, it's better than me.
There's no way I was getting that far with the controls. This is very similar to Dig Dug, and I don't know, the controls feel sticky and they don't, I don't know, they just don't allow for quick decision making, which is where I get stuck. I think that's just a problem of playing stuff today and trying to go back in time and play.
But I ran into the same issue that Wayne did, where it was like, I thought, I'm making progress, I'm going along, and then it's like you break something, you fall, you look up, and you realize, oh shoot, upper left corner, and you can't get up there. Yeah. So then it's like, I'll let a fireball take me out or something, just to start over. But I was surprised. One, I didn't know this was a Mario, like an iteration of a Mario game. I didn't know that. So that was interesting to learn that. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. I played this more than the other 2 games. Easily.
Admittingly, I've played this more, especially more than the Gunman game because I think, just hardware availability, but I was a bit better at this, if that's believable.
I think I might have played more Wild Gunman than this, to be perfectly honest. This game just infuriated me. And I think I would have been fine with this game if there was a better way of defending yourself. Yeah, you can use the bombs, and you can like drop like cans or something on
barrels,
like steel drums. Yeah, you can drop them, but the timing has to be perfect.
Yeah, you can't use your hammer to do anything. Yeah, unlike Dig Dug, which is a similar concept of this. I mean, the idea is you're escaping, but you still had your zapper that you could blow things up. But in here, you can't even use your hammer to hit the guys, so there is no.
Like there's been times where I accidentally hit a bomb or a block that I needed to save till later, thinking that I can defeat an enemy, and it's just habit, hitting B in order to defend yourself. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah, the using of like bombs and then you fall, that was infuriating.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I actually stopped even trying to use them because it just didn't feel like it was worth it to me. I was just like, I'm not going to do that. Because
I thought they were gonna like you hit them and then they go off in a second or two so you could run away, and then I found out the hard way that's not the case.
Yeah.
Who's the smart one to think that hitting a bomb with a hammer would be a smart idea anyway? Like it's almost
yeah.
Yeah,
that's
nothing
just
nothing
asking for
poorly.
disaster.
Yeah, right. Nothing bad can come from that at all. Not at all.
I'm almost surprised when
Not
I
at all.
first did it. I was like, this is either gonna kill me or work to my advantage, and I thought it was going to kill me, and it was one of those bombs that look non-nefarious, but then they're nefarious when you hit them. And you're like, oh, okay, well, let's not accidentally do that because you're trying to move so fast.
Yeah.
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 It's like you have a time limit, but I think it's just for score, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think
I think
that's
so.
particularly what it is. Because if you finish within a certain time, you get a higher score. Plus, obviously, if you demo a specific amount of walls or
Mhm.
perform a live capture or a drum drop or anything like that. I don't even know how you would do half these secret weapon things because I'm just like, I'm just trying to demo everything. I don't got time to like.
Maybe that
But
was
you
my
know what?
problem.
I
Is I
didn't
was
even
rushing too much.
I never used the doors. Couldn't figure them out. I'm in front of the door like going, how do I get in? How do I get in?
Yeah,
Like a man, I didn't read the manual, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I read the manual. I was like, oh, the monsters go through them. Okay.
Yeah, that
So-
confused me at first too, because I'm like, all right, cool, I can go through a door, maybe defend myself by teleporting.
Well, that's
No,
how you do
as
it
you
in other
said, the
Mario
enemies-
games.
Yeah.
You open a door, you press A, and you walk through it.
I mean, I grew up playing Mario 2, which is constantly going through doors.
And
So-
you just press up. You just stand in front of them and press up.
I was pressing up.
Yeah,
I was pressing
same.
up.
Same.
Out of curiosity, has anybody messed with that course design option?
You
No.
know, I was gonna say it is an interesting concept that they actually have that in this game, and I think that's very interesting. With the whole Minecraft era and everything today, to be able to design your own course back then, and then play that course as well.
Yeah, because the only other thing I can think of that's similar to that around this era would be Excitebike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
That was-
I did mess around with it a little bit, and it seemed pretty easy to use. It was kind of cool.
It did, yeah. It didn't give me as much fun time as Excitebike, but
Mhm.
yeah, it was an interest. I was happy to see it because obviously you could build a level and have your friends traverse it and see. Obviously, if you're not a level designer, well, you can make some bad choices.
Yeah. Yeah, like I know when I was messing around with that, I put myself in a completely unwinnable situation by having like a line of the walls, and then not realizing I put a bunch up top just because I was messing around. And I'm like, all right, let me try this out. Oh, I can't even reach those. So
Just,
Yeah.
just as a point of reference to anything, don't ever play anything that he designs. All right, I played
Whoa.
Super Mario Maker with him, and he absolutely made unwinnable levels.
whoa, those are all winnable. I had to do it myself.
Yeah, fine. Then you just designed them to torture me, and you had a lot of enjoyment in that. So,
I had a lot of enjoyment playing Super Mario Maker. But
so I guess what you're saying is, and for the sake of the channel, we won't be seeing a battle video of Reaper versus Jares in Wrecking Crew. That's what you're telling me right now.
ooh, I think you already know who'll win. You.
There you go. He just admitted it, folks. The battle videos are skewed in his favor.
I told you to come up with your own two. And to this day, you've come up with like one.
I just came up with one now. And you're already shooting it down. So that's why you're the idea guy.
It's because I do not like this game. Like I could not get into this game like you could.
So what you're saying is, if we did one, it would just be you complaining the entire time.
Pretty much. But I'm glad that you had enjoyment of it because, as I said, like I found it more infuriating. Maybe it's because I'm not exactly a puzzle guy.
I would
I'm more
encourage
of an
you.
action guy.
I would encourage you
But-
to give it one more try and approach
Okay.
it with just don't rush it. That's all.
That might be my problem too. Is I want to break the walls before I get
Yep.
assaulted by the enemies.
That's what I did,
And
and
that's just
again,
not the way to play it.
I played a lot of I say this before. I play a lot of Dig Dug because I had one of those little like couple games in one
Mhm.
Atari controller things. So I went at it with that mindset, and that was just go quick and. But yeah, that was not the case.
Yeah,
For the record, I like Dig Dug.
I
Me
appreciated the.
too.
I mean, I appreciated the, because I approached it really the way I'm suggesting that you approach the game. That's how I did. I had some time, and I just invested the time in it, and I just took my time through it, and I was like, overall, I enjoyed the challenges of each phase, and especially like in
And
the instances in which where there were times where I was standing at the top or wherever I was, and I'm looking and I'm having to make decisions of like, once I got a real feel for the game, I was like, okay, don't rush through everything. And then I'm standing there looking and I'm going, okay, I got to go here and then there and then there. So I don't.
and
I got a lot out of it, but it was fun. But
yeah, I mean
teach
that's a
their
good
own.
way of putting it too. Is like there were times where I like look at the stage first, like, all right, where do I even start?
Mhm.
And that's like part of the puzzle too. Is like, all right, which block do I need to blow up first? Do I need to use the bomb? Do I need to save the bomb? Can I
You
use
don't
the
even
bomb
have
to take out
time to do
enemies?
that. You. I mean, I guess you could pause it and then look at it, but you have to do that wherever you're standing.
True.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you could actually pause it when it's showing you the level though. Oh,
Yeah.
you can. That's an interesting strategy. You could pause it while it's
Hmm.
like scrolling down to the level, because some of the levels are a bit larger.
Yes.
So
Yeah, a lot of them do
map
scroll
out your
vertically.
strategy then. Yeah.
All right, I think
I
we
didn't pause it
touched up. I
though. I just want to put that out there. I didn't pause it. I didn't pause it.
Oh, pat yourself. Pat yourself. No, seriously though, I I think there's a certain set of minds that can just see that play
Mhm.
out, and they're just like, okay, I'll go here, go there, and I'm just not. I'm not one of those. Not at least in games,
yeah, I
software. Yeah,
unfortunately
but
this is one of those games that just makes me feel stupid. Like I play it and it's like I don't know what I'm doing, and then I just get mad and I just want to play something else. You know. All right. Well,
Teach
with
their own.
that said, I think we talked about enough.
yep.
Good.
So would you guys say Wrecking Crew is better than or not quite as good as Wild Gunman? Like, which one would you put first in the list?
I mean,
Now we get to have the discussion of which is better.
I feel like I don't feel like I should have to say anything because I'm pretty sure you guys know where I stand. That.
Yeah, it's hard for me because, okay, this is the thing. If I just say from playability and enjoyment, Wild Gunman's first. If I just choose to take more of an analytical approach and look at depth and replayability, honestly, Wrecking Crew is gonna have much more ability to have time invested in it. Because Wild Gunman is, you can pick it up right before dinner as a kid, play a couple rounds, right? Have dinner and you're done. But Wrecking Crew, you're gonna want to continue and just continue and just continue. So, but for me, honestly, overall, I would have and got uh, much more enjoyment out of Wild Gunman.
Yeah.
Interesting. Personally, I think I would rate Wrecking Crew a little bit higher for the simple reason that there's more to do in it. I didn't enjoy Wrecking Crew as much, but just by looking at you have three modes of play in Wild Gunman, but two of them are kind of the same thing, and the third one is just like a real quick shooting gallery. Whereas Wrecking Crew, you have 100 levels, you have the design capability, you have multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like to me, there's just more at play here. So it offers more.
Yeah, I would. That's what I was saying. Like, there's so much more in Wrecking Crew.
Jerry, what do you think?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I really can't say much more than what you already said. Just to a minute ago. Like as far as there is more to Wrecking Crew than there is to Wild Gunman for me personally. So yeah, I'm gonna rank Wrecking Crew higher than Wild Gunman.
Looks like we
Alright.
got two Wrecking Crews higher. Gunman, I'm the odd man out. That's
I mean,
okay. No,
if you want to persuade me,
I
I
don't think
mean,
I can because I do understand that Wild Gunman it's shallow.
yeah.
There's nothing to it. Really, the only thing you're getting out of it is the ability to increase your reaction time, which depending on what you play now, what you played as a kid is important, or it's not. You know,
Mhm.
or it's fun, or it's not. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
thing is, like, I didn't play any of those two games growing up. Like, I didn't play those games till a couple years ago, so I didn't really have any nostalgia to them either. So, like, I was going in as a fresh and with like fresh eyes on it, and I after playing it, like, if I would have gotten if I would have had the ability to pick one of those two games to be given as a birthday present or a Christmas present, as much as I liked Wild Gunman more, I don't know. I might have picked Wrecking Crew just because there's more to it. It would give me more enjoyability in trying to reach the higher levels. And worst case scenario, I just design courses and have my brothers play them. Whereas Wild Gunman, you don't really have that kind of activity, shall we say.
yep. Everyone's got fair points. Yes.
All right, so I guess Wrecking Crew is number one, Wild Gunman's number two. But now we go on to the third game, which really doesn't need much of an introduction, but we're going to give one anyway. Super Mario Brothers, the original, the OG, although technically you also had Mario Brothers, but that's a different game. This game was released on September 13th of 1985. I mean, what can we say that hasn't really already been said about Mario?
I was gonna say I don't know how you intro this game.
Yeah, I mean,
There's-
it's a pioneer in platformer games. Now, I will say this
standard. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I will say this up front. I am not the biggest fan of Mario 1. I enjoy it. I will play it. But, like, out of the Mario series, I have a lot of other games I'd rather play. But I can definitely understand the appeal of Mario 1 because it really does set the standard on how a game could be made.
Not only that, Mario just had it had and has and so many different elements from power-ups to collecting coins to getting on 100 coins as a life, like the bricks, the breakable bricks, the question blocks, the mushroom, the flowers, the starman, all that stuff. Like when you got into that game, you were introduced immediately to power-ups, and then you're introduced to bricks, and you're immediately introduced to toppling or stomping on a turtle and kicking it. Like the game introduced you well to a lot of those mechanics, but I mean personally, when you bought the system, that's the game you got. So,
And maybe that's my problem too, is it wasn't. I had a couple sports games,
it
but
might be, and you're immediately exposed to this. I just genuinely remember, like, wow, look at all these things in this game that I have to do, can do, work against me, work for me. Oh wait, there's a million different types of levels. Like, holy
mhm,
cow, there's so much depth. Let's keep going. Like, and again, like we were just talking about depth. This game was the immediate game that I saw that had so much to offer.
absolutely. And that I definitely can appreciate because again, I started with Mario 3. That was my first Mario game. And even to this day, I think Mario 1 might be the hardest game in the series. I still to
Yeah,
this day struggle playing Mario 1.
you started on 3, which I think probably jaded you a little bit just because
Probably. It's
that
definitely
game was
possible.
even more elements, more depth, more, I wouldn't call it customization, but there was sort of like choices to pick a power prior to entering levels. Like, so yes, I mean I could see how that might have caused you to see it this way, but I mean, I don't know about you, Jerry, but when I played this, then played number 2 and I was like, what is this? And then they hit number 3. I was like,
Mhm.
I hit number 3 and I totally forgot about 1 and 2 because 3 was the shiz. Like
Yeah.
th-
Yeah.
I didn't want to go back.
No. Yeah.
So
I mean, like, for me, is it the best one of the, we'll call it the main 3, but is that, I don't know that I would say it's the best, but I just remember, like, as a kid, seeing this game for the first time, and that music and those vibrant
It's so
visuals.
iconic. It
and
is so iconic.
like, it's the whole presentation of it, when you're a little kid, especially, like that, like, this game grabbed me because this was like my cousin. I didn't have a Nintendo yet, so my cousin, like, had this game and he's like, here, check this out. And so, like, when you're a little kid and this pops on the screen in front of you, like, I don't know how you wouldn't be hooked by that. It was just, I there's a lot of memories for this game for me. Like,
what I absolutely loved about it, like the first thing I remembered is you see the title screen, and then if you don't press anything for a couple seconds, Mario just starts running off to the right,
Yep.
and the title screen just like slides over. That just blew my mind as a kid. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it's showing the demo and it doesn't even come off the title screen, you know?
Yeah.
And then you actually press start and that's what you're playing.
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get the mushroom right away, and it's like you don't die within one hit as long as you have a power up, which was unusual for the time.
As long as you don't run right into the first Koopa there at the beginning and you're small, which I definitely did the first time I played.
We've all done it.
Yeah. I mean,
I still do it.
The design Miyamoto put into the game, and like just how you get to the sand levels, you've got the water levels, you've got the sun. I mean, there's just so much that's in that game that you don't know until you get there. It just continues
the sun and
for
stuff
me to
wasn't
blow
until
my
Mario
mind.
3.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, even in Mario 1, I don't know, it was just kind of crazy with all the different elements.
Even like the first time you find like one of those vines that bring you up to what I always called Coin Heaven. You have the secret warps.
You do that by accident. You're like, whoa, what did I do?
Yeah, when you find the warps for the first time, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I never found those. Like, I personally didn't find the warps. I was told about them. I didn't know do any of that. Like, that's the other part of this whole thing. The two of them designed that into this game, but clearly, and it's not talked about in any manual, because I mean, why would you talk about the secret? So we didn't have the internet back then. We had dial-up BBS boards, I guess you could have learned this from, right? Or somebody was like, wait, I can break bricks. Can I break the highest brick? Oh, I got up here. What do I do now? I don't know. Run real fast. Oh, crap. I found, this warps. It's like,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Here's something that kids nowadays probably will never understand. Recess. Because that's where we learned all this kind of stuff. You'd be on like the recess pad. Yeah. You'd be in recess. You'd be out there playing. You'd be hanging out around the monkey bars. And you'd be talking about, hey, what'd you see in Mario? Oh, hey, there's a secret extra life right after this pipe. What? No way. You know, and then you go home.
People are still discovering stuff today on how to get around things or infinite life glitch. Like, I mean, the culture's not gonna die. Like, it's still here. It's amazing what it's done.
Speaking of infinite lives, can you guys do the infinite life trip with the Koopa shell? Because I cannot.
This is what I'm talking about, and I've never been able to get it. But it's a pretty like pixel perfect action, and I can't get it.
The person that we were visiting when I first had experienced the NES, he actually showed me that trick right then and there. I'm like, it blew my mind. I'm like, how do you even do this? So he's like getting like infinite lives. I'm just like, my jaw's hitting the ground as a 6-7-year-old, watching him do this. So
yeah,
I mean,
and then you're set for the rest of the day, at least that you have it powered on. Like, you're fine. Oh, I died. Okay, it's fine.
And that's the other interesting thing about this game is like, if you have enough lives that you can actually beat the game. Again, to this day, I struggle finishing this game. I just am not good at it. Like, it gets harder on the second route. Like, you actually save the princess, And then you get this whole extra journey where all the Koopas and Goombas turn into Buzzy Beetles. So they're a lot more difficult to defeat. I
I
think
have
all the
never
Bowsers get more
seen that
difficult.
personally.
Yeah, if you finish the game and finish 8-4, you hit start and then you get the second quest, and everything is just increasingly more
The
difficult.
heck? So is it the same levels but
It's
more difficult?
Yeah, it's the same levels. It's just there's harder enemy types. Like all the Goombas are swapped out with Buzzy Beetles.
So
All the
they don't
Bowsers now
talk
have
about
hammers.
that in they don't talk about that in the manual.
No, they do not.
Yeah, they don't
It,
talk about it becoming that. I mean, they have a part of like the following are deadly, and Buzzy Beetle is one of the enemies next to Koopa Troopa, Power Trooper, and all them. But yeah, there's no mention. I haven't seen anything mentioned in any versions of the manuals that held that.
yeah, it.
It is called a quest because it says you have to have sharp wits and lightning reflexes to complete this quest.
Right, and that's the thing.
That's all it
It's
says.
like the first time I ever saw that, like it blew my mind because like, and I never finished it on the hard mode, shall we say. I was never able to do it because again, I struggle. Usually, I can get to. I think it's level 8-3. It's right before the final Bowser fortress. There's the long walls, and then you have just a bunch of Hammer Brothers throwing hammers at you. If I don't
Okay.
have a Fire Flower at that point, I usually just reset the game. That's pretty much
Yeah.
where I'm at in that game. And the
So we're talking about secrets and stuff and getting it and beating it. I got one for you that I don't know the answer to. And I thought I did as a kid. You know when you get to the flagpole and you get the explosions to go off?
Mhm.
I thought personally it was getting to the top while having uh the fireball power up. You
As a
know
kid,
what
I never
causes
knew.
it?
Yeah, I can tell you. I have it up right now.
Because
Um,
it says it asks or it provokes you to figure it out in the manual.
yeah, Jerry, do you know off the top of your head?
I always just assumed it was jump to the top of the flagpole. Like you just had to get to the top of the flagpole. But
As a kid, I never knew. I didn't know until I actually looked up a guide. It's if you touch the end flagpole with 1, 3, or 6 in the ones column
oh wow,
of,
Oh,
I believe it's your score.
wow, okay,
interesting.
The time. So yeah, if the time is 1, you get 1 firework. If the time ends in 3, 3 fireworks, and so on.
Interesting.
But you still have to time it because you have
You
to
do.
jump at the flagpole. And it's like, would you rather have what is it like 500 points times 6? So that's what 3,000 points or what? I'd rather have the 5,000 that you get off of hitting the top of the flagpole. You know.
And you know what's
um,
interesting? In games like this, there's points, but for me, points were irrelevant. It was about getting to the end. And
yeah.
I'll be honest, that's why I don't experience a lot of games today, because I'm just about to the getting to the end.
Mhm.
I never worried about points in Mario. It wasn't something I cared.
Yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel like that was like an afterthought from all the arcade games back then. I mean, Wrecking Crew, Wild Gunman, of course, they're gonna have
Yeah,
points because there's
yeah.
no real end.
Nope.
Well, unless you can actually clear all 100 stages like Jerry can.
True.
But
whoa! I got
but
11 phases in. Come on, man.
that's still 4 phases higher than I was able to. But I think it was just like everybody was still going to arcades back then. Arcades were prevalent. Arcades were awesome. I miss arcades.
Yeah, and
But
high score was the way to
yeah,
make a name for yourself.
I think the high scores would have made more sense if these games had like backup capabilities. But we didn't start seeing batteries till much later on in the system's life. But I
Yeah,
know
there's an
some
arcade
instruction
that
manuals.
has this has a cabinet with this in it, having the battery, so it
Yeah,
records
I remember
high
seeing it
score.
at a roller rink that I used
Yep.
to go to with my dad and one of his friends. But I going after that though, I know some manuals had like pages in the back where you can actually write down your high scores.
This is one of them. It had it in the back.
So let me throw this out there. If there's one thing I absolutely do not like about this game, it's those stupid springboards.
They felt sticky, and I agree that they
They're
were a
unpredictable.
real pain. But I'll say I hate the Hammer Brothers.
Yeah.
Those,
Okay. Yeah.
you know what's worse is when you have the Hammer Brothers and a jumping board.
Thank you. I
Good
was just
God,
getting ready to say that.
forget it, forget it.
I mean,
Ugh.
there's been times where I tried to jump off a springboard. I think I have the timing right, and then I just plummet off the cliff. So it's like,
It's almost like it changes some sort of physics. I know there isn't a thing in this game, but it's like you got stuck and you don't jump as far, go as long. Yeah, I could see that being the biggest pain. But Hammer Bros are mine. I just no, can't stand them.
one of the other things that kind of annoy me a little bit, but it's kind of easily figured out, are the level in 4 and 8 fortresses, because those are the ones that are split up, and you have to go through an exact path in order to actually get to the end. Takes a little bit of trial and error, but you start running into problems if you start running out of time and still haven't figured it out. But I think the way
Oh,
that
that's right. Time was a thing too. I mean, I know
yeah,
we just
and
talked
it
about it, but
zooms by too. Like
what
it's not like a
level was
normal
it?
4-4 and 8-4.
Okay.
Um, but what I did like is that there's an audio tone whenever you hit the right um when you got the right path.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, that part kind of annoys me a little bit. Like I still kind of remember the 4th level, but the 8th one I do not, because I think there's pipes involved and all sorts of stuff. And like my mentality too, when I get to Bowser, if I have any kind of power up, well, if I have the Fire Flower, I will try to defeat Bowser with that. If I just have the mushroom, I'm just zooming past Bowser. I don't even care. Like
You know, it's
I'll just take the hit and just hit that axe.
yeah. You know, it's wild. I'm loading up these levels just to take a look at them, and you look at them in like in one image. It's interesting how it looks so simple, but when you're on the screen, you're playing a what is it, a 4x3, and it's scrolling. You don't get that advantage to see
No,
ahead,
you don't.
so you don't know what to expect till you're like right there.
One of the things I will say about the game too is it still looks good to this day.
Absolutely, yeah.
For an early NES game, it still has a ton of color. Um, again, all those hidden secrets, the iconic music.
Yeah. I don't even
Although,
understand fully why. Like the moment Jerry said it, the moment you heard the music and the sounds, you were just like engulfed in these feelings about the game, and I personally felt it. I don't know. I don't even understand why, but I don't know. It still rings. It still rings real deep in everyone's memories nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one thing I could do without though are the swimming levels. Like I felt like some of those were the
Oh,
most awkward stages.
I liked them. I don't know why.
I liked him as long
I,
as I had a fireball.
Oh,
yeah,
you know, it's so funny. I was literally thinking that Fireball, you
yeah.
could hit the cheeps and the eggs and the bloopers. I mean,
Yeah.
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 I think my problem with the levels wasn't necessarily the stages themselves, but it's like you always gravitated to the bottom, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
why. It was just some weird mechanic. Like it almost felt like there was like a tide pulling you down all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the ruse of the whole thing, right? It's like it's almost like the Flappy Bird. You know, you
Oh
got to stay
jeez.
up. You got to swim or you're gonna fall. But if you fall, you could fall into a blooper or a cheap, and or
Yeah.
if you swim up, you know, etc. So I think I don't know if you think about that level without call it gravity, right? I guess that's what it would be, right? I don't know. I mean, I think it would have been pretty easy, but yeah, that I don't know. I enjoyed those levels. I think I enjoyed them because they were quite the diversion from ground.
That is true. That is
Mm-hmm.
true.
We
And
didn't have a lot of diversion of level. I wouldn't call it design, but level mechanics until you hit Mario Brothers 3, where there's a bunch of different types of level mechanics. Whereas
yeah.
in Mario Brothers 1, it was platforming literally almost the entire game until, you know, you had some of those water
Yeah,
levels.
the water gave it a nice little breakup of variety. Like it just gave you a little bit of variety.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you're just gonna spend all your time running and jumping. But I found them to be difficult though, the water levels. But
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I need to go back and like experience it more now. But because this is just that game that you don't have to think about. Like, you don't even have to really play it or revisit it if you want to. It's like for me, it's permanently burned into my brain, probably for the rest of my life. So
Yeah, I literally could pick it up and go. I remember everything. In fact, it's funny because I just installed this on my Apple TV and we were playing it the other day, and it's like everyone. Well, my wife and my kids are 21 and older, but Alicia, my wife, got on it, and it's just like yesterday. You just remember. You can't forget. You just can't.
Yeah.
This is one of those games, we're gonna probably have a few of them. Some of us will be like, how and why do you remember that? And a couple of us will be like, oh yeah, that's not forgotten like this,
Yeah,
like for me,
but I think
like,
this
my
one's
memory is more
universal.
about Super Mario 2.
Yeah.
Like I can definitely, I definitely appreciate Mario for what it is, but I have fonder memories of this other sequels on the system. But
I agree.
Again, I can definitely appreciate the game. I'm definitely entertained by it. I enjoy playing it. Maybe not as much as the others, but there's no argument that it's like one of the best games on the system because it did what it set out to do.
That's bold.
I really do, and mostly because it set out to what it was supposed to do. It
did.
It was a new platformer. It was trying to bring the NES and basically prove that video games could have a lasting future.
And it's still going. It's still going today.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, we had iterations of Mario prior to this one, but this is really the thing that started it all.
But is that why you? I don't know if we want to go too far into this, but is that why you say it's the best game for NES?
I don't know if I'd say it's the best.
Okay.
No, one of the best.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. It's got to be in that bucket for sure.
Yeah. I feel like there's some that are definitely better. Without getting too far ahead of things, Mario 3 is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Hell, I even say Mario 2 is better.
Well, we're gonna fight on that one.
Yeah,
that'll be for another day.
Wait for that till Mario 2 comes up. That's gonna be
we'll wait for that for another day.
Yes.
I'll be ready. But yeah, as Jerry said, I just did a quick search. Mario has appeared in over 200 video games since its creation in '81. Like, that just shows you how much of a lasting effect he has had.
He's up there with Mickey and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Let's face it. If this game didn't exist, who knows what platformers would be like today? Would we still have video games today? I know that's bold, but that's
interesting. But that's really interesting though, because the majority of the American people got this version, the NES with this, and that was your introduction to things past Pong and if your parents had it, past all that F1 Racer on Atari and stuff like that.
And this is one of my first experiences with video games too, because I never had an Atari.
I only played it a few.
I played Atari at a friend's house. I think Jerry had one that I played a few times, but this is
my dad had
the first real. That was after I didn't play Atari till after I played Mario 1. So this was one of my first video games I ever played, and as much as I enjoy playing Atari games because I like the history, they just don't have the lasting appeal. But Mario, you can play it over and over and over again, and like you said, you didn't even know there was a hard mode. So people are still
I think it's fun every time. It's not boring every time because so what if you know how to do it? It's still timing based. It's still skill based. It's it's always fun every time you play it.
Absolutely.
It's
and
one
if you
of
have
those...
someone to play with, you can play with them too. Yeah. Although they might have to wait a little while if you don't die because it's that kind of game. But
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's just one of those things. It's like it never this game doesn't feel ever at any point has it ever felt old to me. Like to me it holds up. And going back to what you said, yeah, I had an Atari 2600. I think I went through 3 of them because my parents like had theirs, and then theirs went, and then like their friends were getting rid of their 2600s, and so they would give them to my parents for me to use. And then I think that's partly why this game resonates so much with me, because I was playing Asteroids and Pac-Man and Breakout and Space Invaders. And then all of a sudden, my cousin introduces me to this, and I'm like, "What is this? Like, I need this."
It was light years ahead of all that.
But that's why I'm saying, like, I spent a good amount of time playing a 2600, and so then, like I said, that's why I think the music and all that, and the visuals and all, it grabbed me because I was still playing a 2600 with a little joystick, like. There's only so much excitement you can get out of playing Atari 2600 bowling or Pac-Man or Asteroids or any of those. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you give me Kaboom or Pitfall, and I will be set for a few hours. Just saying.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm just saying. Like, this was something that was just like to a 6-year-old kid who's been, living in the world of 2600. As good of a console as it is, I'm not knocking it. It's just that I just think that this game, and like I said, this game, we just played it, and I'm like, this doesn't feel old.
I think it's going to be interesting going forward in these episodes that we hit other games that have that same effect, and we learn why, and it'll be very curious and peculiar which ones those games are, because I can name a few now and I won't, but it's gonna be very, very interesting to see how NES has affected our generation.
And I'm curious too, because I'm sure there's gonna be games that we play in the future that like we might have had fond memories of, and then you play them today, it's like I don't see the appeal anymore.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
It's like, what was I thinking?
Exactly. You know what the other thing too is, with what Jerry says, you go back and play this game, it doesn't feel old. I think a part of it is how much of an effect it had, but also we never miss Mario. And why is that? Because he's still here.
Yeah.
You see him, even if you're not a console player, which I'm not, I still see him all the time, whether it's because my daughter's playing it on her Switch or it's an ad or just, I don't know. Just
Wayne,
comes
didn't you
up.
buy
He's
an
just
ornament
always
yesterday?
here.
I just bought a Christmas ornament yesterday.
Yeah, you texted me a
Smart
picture,
ornament.
right? I can remember. I thought it was a Christmas. As you're saying, you always see him, and I'm like, I think Wayne just bought an ornament yesterday.
I
Oh,
did.
really?
It was. I'm gonna put it in the thing here, but
How about that?
It was literally in a local food store of all places.
Those are always
So-
the fun.
It seems
okay.
so out of place. But I'm like, I can't pass this up,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's just like, what's kind of crazy to me is like how it started with like Donkey Kong, and it was like,
Yeah.
and then it went from Donkey Kong to Wrecking Crew to Mario Brothers to this, right? If I'm right, I don't know if I'm right on that, but
I'd have to look the order up myself, but I'm not sure the exact order. But
I mean, even when
he was in other games too. I mean,
yeah, I'm just saying, like,
he was in Punch Out,
right? Right, and that, yeah, I know. We'll get to that one eventually in due time, but like, but I mean, like, the thing is, even just going way, way further ahead, right? Like, and I only say this because it kind of goes back to like, I don't get tired of Mario in general, because like, even as a 14 or 15-year-old teenager, when you're kind of in that awkward phase in life, Mario 64 is incredible. It was incredible then, and it's still incredible now. Like,
It's like, how do you even pit this game against the other two, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of unfair.
It really is.
But
good job, Wayne.
Again, the ranks are gonna show.
I use the random number generator, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and it's just kind of how
it's hands down, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, I would have to agree that it has to go on number 1 out of the 3 games we've played this week.
I agree.
I don't know how you could even argue that would go anywhere else.
Right.
No, not at all.
You know what? Even for the black box games in general, it's going to be hard to dethrone it. It's going to be hard to dethrone Super Mario 1 until we get out into the more mainstream, shall we say, games. After the black box games were no longer black box and they start, like, everybody was able to develop and release things for the system. Like the Mega Mans, the Castlevanias.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I don't really remember how many of the black box games I had / remember. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I didn't have many myself. Let me look at the list real quick. Like, looking at them, I could probably say I had maybe 3 or 4. I didn't have many at all. Even to this day, I don't have a lot of them. So, like, it's a couple of them that I wouldn't mind getting. So yeah. I mean, I don't really know if there's really much else that we can talk about with the game, to be perfectly honest.
No, not really. I mean,
I think we pretty much hit it all. I think we've been talking about this lone game for almost a half an hour. So
yeah.
So yeah. Does anybody have any closing arguments? Oh, okay.
No.
That's one of my favorites. Kung Fu. That is one of my favorites.
I need to not send any more to this chat, everyone, because I'll start derailing us. So
I just got, no joke, because I have a top loader now. That was one of the first games that I bought, was Kung Fu.
I can't wait till we talk about that one because it's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
So,
but no, this has been fun.
It has been very fun. So thanks everybody for listening / watching. However you may,
consume
review the material. I did draw the next 3 games. One of them is going to be a little bit more difficult to play because it technically sort of requires 2 controllers. Gyromite. It's one of the games that came with Rob, the robot. So that one's going to be a little difficult to play, but I'm sure we'll find a way. The other 2 games are a lot more exciting. We got Donkey Kong Jr.
and
Excite Bike.
Oh boy.
So
this is gonna be.
Hey, this is my clipboard, by the way. I just copied this. So
we're gonna be.
This is gonna
be interesting.
So yeah, I think the next episode is gonna be pretty entertaining. We'll probably start with Gyromite because
somebody's gonna get upset. There's gonna be debates.
Oh yeah. So Jason and Jerry, thank you. I appreciate you guys, spending the hour or so.
No worries.
Look forward to our next episode. Hopefully we can get some more people in.
By the way, can I just say that because you mentioned all you had to say was Excite Bike, and I already hear the menu music in my head.
Oh my!
It's hard not to.
I'm gonna be playing it in my dreams tonight.
Sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
So yeah, those are the next games we're gonna be doing: Excite Bike, Donkey Kong Jr., and Gyromite. So again, thank you all for watching / listening. Yeah. Until next time, happy fragging.